Good evening and welcome to another edition of Money Talk with Melanie. I am your business diva, Melanie Collette, broadcasting live from the lovely and beautiful, and actually more like overcast, Cape May, New Jersey today. My guest today is Cori Banks-Eastmond, and she is a wellness coach and empowerment speaker. I'm very excited to have her on the show. She's going to talk to us about empowering women to healthy living. And of course, the first two people in the Facey chat are guys, but that's okay because I'm sure some of this can apply to you all as well. Eden Gordon Hill is here. And by the way, I should definitely mention that I'm coming to you via SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. Hello to all of you in the Facey chat, Greg, Eaton, Daryl, Eden, Daryl, and Philip, and Doug. Hi, welcome to Money Talk with Melanie. Okay, but before we get to that, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. If you are not following me on Twitter, you may do so at Money Talk Mel, or you can also like the Facebook page, Money Talk with Melanie. If you want to follow me on Twitter and follow my political musings, you may do so at NJGOP Diva. And I'm also, the show is really everywhere there is a social media and on just about every podcast platform there is. iTunes, of course. Spreaker is where our home is for the most part. And of course, shrmedia.com. You can pick up any of the shows. Okay. That being said, hello, Mark. Welcome to the Facey chat. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the news. This wasn't on my list of things to talk about, but I was listening on my way home to the news, and the stock market tanked again. It's a little worrisome. Now, I think it's like the fifth or sixth day in a row we were down 400 points today. Just don't, like, when your statement comes for your 401k, just don't look at it. Just put it aside. It's going to be all right. Don't take a look at it because it's just going to be a little scary for a minute. And my understanding is what's really affecting it are interest rates. They're looking at like 3% interest rate, which is that's always going to be a little bit of problem when interest rates start to inch up a little bit. So. I know I say this about investing all the time, and every other financial advisor is going to tell you the same thing, to calm down. It's long-term investing. Just stay calm. It's going to be all good. It's going to be fine if you're a long-term investor. So don't worry about it too much. Now, 10 people died and 15 people were hurt yesterday in Toronto, Canada. This guy ran over a bunch of people on one of the busiest streets in Toronto. He's 25 years old. And they say that at first, everybody, I think, thought probably terrorism. I thought the same thing. When I'm listening to news reports today, and what they're saying is he actually was following some other serial killer that did the same thing. That really was having female problems. Like, he complained regularly, apparently, on social media about his involuntary celibacy. And I could have told him, just as a girl, that's not something you want to brag about if you want a woman. If you want to attract a woman, that's not the best thing to brag about. I'm just saying. So, but apparently this guy was obviously not well, is the bottom line. He's just not a well person. So now he's getting charged with 10 counts of murder, and there's 15 people in hospital. It's very, very unfortunate and very sad. If there's any slightly, I wouldn't even classify it as good, but I'm glad that it wasn't a terrorist attack, although I'm sure people are terrorized. It never even occurred to me that other people did something like that, but apparently other people have. We've got to watch people's social media, because I feel like every time we go back to someone's social media, there's always like hints and tips and things that in retrospect didn't look bad. I'm not sure who you reported to the cops. I would think, and hopefully the authorities are a little more vigilant when they see these crazy things. The problem is there's no law against posting crazy things. And there's probably people that post crazy things that never do anything wrong. I would imagine. But this guy apparently was just a disgruntled single guy. Could not embrace celibacy. Somebody should have found him a Bible. I'm just saying. Very sad situation. No Money Talk news report would be complete unless I talked about Amazon, right? So I think Amazon purposely makes sure they're in the news every day. I'm totally convinced of that. Like, I think it's part of their branding. That's what they're doing. They are now delivering to people's trunks, to the trunks of people's cars. I'm not really mad at them. They are doing kind of a beta program, if you will, in Los Angeles, Atlanta, and Chicago. And this only applies to Prime members that have eligible cars. And there are delivery restrictions, which is interesting. The package can't weigh more than 50 pounds. It can't be worth more than $1,300. And delivery person can use Amazon Key in car, which is the new service, which uses the vehicle's internet connection to get one-time trunk access. How cool is that? I'm sorry, I think that's cool. Am I weird that I think that's cool? I do. I think it's really cool. But that's the new thing that Amazon is doing. And listen, they're really innovative. That's the thing. They're an innovative company, and they're always coming up with something new. Amazon started offering in-house options a few months ago, and Walmart is offering that now. Walmart will even put groceries in your fridge. That's kind of crazy, but I'm not mad about it. I say whatever makes your life easier. I don't know. I like it. Let's see what else we got. Now this I found exciting. The Gap is opening 60 Old Navy stores across the country, new stores this year, making their total number of stores over 1,000. Now I didn't know, to be honest with you, that Gap owned Old Navy. That I didn't know. But I happen to really like Old Navy, so I was happy to hear that. Now I knew that they owned Banana Republic, that I will also love, but it says that the report, according to the report, says that the retailer plans to shutter 200 Gap and Banana Republic stores. Okay, I guess they mean shut down Gap and Banana Republic stores by 2020. Boo! Because I like Banana Republic. I don't know who else does, but I do. It's kind of like, really, it's kind of smart what they do. Like, the Gap is kind of middle of the road. Banana Republic is a little more high end, and then you got Old Navy, which is a little more reasonable, less expensive. I kind of like that, but that's me. But apparently they're scaling down the Gap and the Banana Republics and going with Old Navy. Now, this we definitely want to know about is that China is eyeing an IPO. This is according to the Wall Street Journal. They bought Uber's China business. This is scary. Right now, they don't have a lot of details, but they're looking to go public, and China's eyeballing it. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm a little scared, and that way they'll be able to compete with Uber. That whole situation is scary. Hey, Katina, welcome. Russ, James, Lewis, hello. That whole situation is scary. Let's see what else. Do we have anything else? I think that is it for our Money Talk News Report. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. My guest today is wellness coach and empowerment speaker, Cori Banks-Eastmond, and she's going to talk to us about empowering women to healthy living. Why are we talking about that? Because there are so many business women out there today, and because who are doing it all, wife, mother, business owner. And one of the things that they, of course, neglect is their health, or may not even understand what a healthy life, a healthy, balanced life looks like. So although this is a business show, I thought this was a very important topic to cover. And so when we come back in a few minutes, we'll talk to Cori Banks-Eastmond about that. We'll be back in a few moments.
It seems that the deep state is more entrenched than anyone ever imagined. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards on today's page from the Edwards Notebook. You can call former President Barack Hussein Obama many things, but a simple puppet being controlled by others, he's not one of them. Since long before he was elected, with a little help from his Democrat cheaters are us friends, he meticulously studied ways to undermine our beloved republic. When he became president, one key avenue to that end was the hiring of 7,000 to 8,000 senior services executive members who were employed to destroy any efforts to strengthen, prosper, enable America to reach her potential as that shining city on a hill nation that is the premier example of liberty, freedom, domestic tranquility, equal opportunity, and true justice for all. Before Obama's presidency, there were only 1,000 senior executive services members, and that evil cartel was probably started under Jimmy Carter. They answer to no one and are set to render the Trump administration null and void if they can. Their names are secret, as are their salaries, and they are running all government agencies in secret. That is supposed to be a government of, by, and for the people. With God's help and grace, it shall be again. I'm Ron Edwards, sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
Who likes paying taxes? Nobody. That's why Eva Rosenberg from TaxMama.com wants you to pay less of them. Read Small Business Taxes Made Easy and learn how legally hiring your spouse and children can slash your taxes. Learn how to set up a business plan that minimizes taxes, the benefits of setting up an exit plan, how to avoid getting audited, and how to legally increase your deductible expenses with better record-keeping techniques. Don't let the IRS squeeze you out of every penny. Visit TaxMama.com. Click on Ask a Tax Question to get free answers to your tax and business questions. That's TaxMama.com.
My name is David Barnett, and I've been helping people buy and sell small and medium-sized businesses since 2008. So far this year, I've gone on 5 vacations. It's because I've got my own business. When you get tired of being managed by someone else and you decide that business ownership is right for you without the risk of starting your own unproven enterprise, then come over to BusinessBuyerAdvantage.com. There are over 100 YouTube videos on buying and selling businesses that you can watch for free. That's BusinessBuyerAdvantage.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette, and my guest today is empowerment speaker and wellness coach Cori Banks-Eastmond. I apologize. She's going to talk to us today about empowering women to healthy living. A little bit about my guest. She's a wife, mother, and empowerment speaker. She's a regional director of a popular nonprofit in New York. My new mouth today. I'm sorry. She's born and raised in LA, California. She's always had a passion for working with women to help them improve their health and well-being. When she lost her mom in 1996 at age 53 to a massive heart attack, it changed her life. She soon became an advocate for the American Heart Association and began training with Typo Master Billy Blanks. Go ahead, girl. And it was the loss of her mother that propelled her to move forward and become a certified holistic health coach. She received a training from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition in New York City. And she soon began hosting Empowering Women to Healthy Living Conference, as well as speaking and teaching at Assemblywoman Michelle, I'm pronouncing this wrong, Solange, she'll fix that for me. National Women's Health Fitness Day. It's very exciting. Cori's method is to focus on core issues at the heart in order for women to live a life of happiness, peace, and joy. Her belief is when you hear the heart of a person, you can get to the core of the issue. The most important thing for Cori is to continue to make impact into the lives of the women that she comes in contact with. And without further ado, Cori Banks-Eastmond, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much, Melanie, for inviting me on today. I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you.
With your
with Michaela Solange.
Thank you, girl. Listen, first day with my new mouth. I'm telling you, never. And it wasn't necessarily. My brain was going, Melanie is Solange, like chill, but my mouth was like not cooperating. I apologize.
No worries.
Is there anything about your bio that I didn't include that you want my audience to know?
No, you shared it. I think that was a mouthful.
Hey, listen, I say this to my guests all the time, but here's the thing. Once you start doing radio shows and podcasts and stuff, that means that you accomplished some stuff. So your bio is going to be long. Like, that's just, and that wasn't even a long one, to be honest.
Yeah, I know. I was like, okay. Not too long, but yes, I'm very grateful to be here. You are amazing. It's been an amazing journey to support and work with women to, bring them into a balanced lifestyle and to learn what exactly being in balance means. And so to be able to be on your show here today to share some of that information, I think it's awesome. And thank you yet again.
I'm grateful for the work that you do, for sure. And I mean, some of the questions that I talked to you about before we got on the air was like stuff that I want to know. And I'm hoping that my audience wants to know the same thing, which is why the first question I have for you is, what does a balanced life look like? Does it depend on the individual, or are there some basics that we can say, look, I can do a self-assessment and say my life is healthy and balanced? What are some markers? What are some indicators?
Well, you kind of said it just a second ago. It's basically, we do have to do a self-assessment of ourselves, because we have to first look at the plan of our life and see what are we doing and what's missing, and how can we put it into some sort of balance. So when we look at wellness is a deliberate effort, and it's up to us to make that decision to say, I'm going to activate this part of my life so that I can be more balanced and more efficient and effective in my overall wellness. So work-life balance is an important staple to implement in your life. And where wellness is a deliberate effort, it's something that, again, we need to incorporate so that we can live a healthier lifestyle. And the first thing to do is to do a self-awareness of ourselves and learn to take care of ourselves first, because self-care is very important. If we do not have self-care, then we can't care for anyone else. And so it's a little chaotic. And if we don't know how to balance ourselves, how can we balance our home, or balance our workspace? So if we take that time out for ourselves to love on ourselves, whether we're women where we want to go and get our nails done, or go to a spa, or just go outside and read a book, whatever brings us some sort of balance and center, where we can center ourselves and center our minds, center our thoughts, and learn to balance our work, home, and relationships. So that's the key thing. It's ourselves first, and we have to make a decision to implement it in our lives. And sometimes we don't know how to do it because we're so full of everything. Being a wife, as you said earlier, a mother, and a business owner. But if we keep all of that in front of us, it looks frustrating. So in order to step back, we have to step back and look at it. And we have to want it. We have to want to learn how to live a balanced lifestyle. It starts from a want and making a deliberate effort, and then gathering the tools to see what works for you in your life so that you can be your best self.
I like that. Now, you hear the word centered. I hear it all the time. Okay? What exactly is there a definition for centered? Is it a feeling? Is it a action? Like, how do you know that you are centered?
You know when you're centered, when you can block out outside noise and tune into self-awareness yet again. It goes right back to you again. So we have to make a choice, and I keep saying that, and I know everyone goes, gosh, Cori, but it's the truth. In order to have self-awareness and to center yourself, you have to block out outside noises, and you have to reevaluate you and your circumstances and where you are so that you can create a good space for yourself. And that's how I coach my clients. It always goes back to them. That's why my business is called Core Wellness for You, because as I reach and work with a person, we dig down deep into the root cause of whatever that issue is, and we build from there, and then they're able to find that center for them and balance everything outside and inside.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, I don't know about you, but you deal with a lot of people. You deal with a lot of people. I deal with a lot of people.
Right.
And self-awareness, I would say, is not exactly in abundance in today's society. So, and listen, I'm sure myself is included on some level. So how do we know if we are self-aware? I mean, there are some people that you're like, wow, like that person has like zero self-awareness. They have no idea who they are, what they're doing, like, you know. But then there's some people you can kind of figure out that are pretty self-aware. How does that evaluation work? Like, what are the steps to saying, okay, how am I aware of myself? What types of things do we look at?
Well, the things that you look at is that you do look at like your daily action steps that you take. Are you making plans? Are you setting goals? And when you look at that and you might be off balance, that's out of balance. Because if you do not have a direction, how are you going to get to where you think you want to go to? So there has to be some type of plan. And in order to set up a plan, you have to find out where is it that you're looking to be, where is it that you're looking to go. And when you do that, you're becoming self-aware of who you are, learning who you are and your direction, and taking those initial steps to get you further ahead of that goal. So we do have to set some goals in place, because without a goal, what are we working towards? So if we're working towards living a balanced lifestyle or creating healthier habits, the best way to do that is, again, become self-aware and identify those things that you need to fix in your life. Because if our relationships are off balance, our physical fitness is off balance, maybe our spiritual awareness is off balance, those are the things that are key components to finding out your self-awareness. How am I in my relationship? Where am I off balance? Where do I need to fix? Where do I need help and support and guidance in this area of my life, so that I'm more self-aware of not only myself, but my environment and what's going on? And that's the self-awareness. It's still steps for you to take to find out and to identify what's going on in your home, in your life, so that you can become more self-aware of self, because you're still connected to your home and in your environment, right?
Yeah.
If our environment is out of whack, it creates unhealthy interactions in our home, and we have to become self-aware of that, self-aware of our physical. So it's all together. That's the approach of my practice and how I teach, is that self-awareness approach from that way. Like, we still got to check in and see where we are, so that we can become self-aware of ourselves.
That makes a lot of sense. And I know your environment has a lot to do, at least I think, with how you're feeling overall. Sometimes can affect your health. Is that something that you want to examine, as far as being self-aware and as far as whether or not your life has balance? I feel like everybody's life is probably out of balance to some degree. People are so busy and doing so much. You know what I mean?
It is. Everyone, it is out of balance in some degree. And that's why, everyone's pushing this work-life balance, because I believe we're all identifying with it and saying, like, wow, am I overworked? Am I not spending enough time taking care of myself in my alone time to even go and say, I'm going to go take a kickboxing class or a yoga class just to get, there we go, to my center. It's you and your center and your creative way of making your life work for you. Because just because someone else is doing one thing doesn't mean that actually works for you. You have to find what works for you in order for you to have a great, healthy lifestyle. Because I can't do what you're doing. You know what I mean? So whatever you find, if it's yoga for you, if it's kickboxing for you, if it's going on walks, but it's making those deliberate efforts in order to be successful. Just as we sit back and we think, you know, what am I? I'm an artist, like I'm a musician or I'm a dancer, and you're making those deliberate efforts to go rehearse and practice and dance. Those are the same things that we have to do within our lifestyles, saying that, okay, I'm a business owner, even though I'm focusing on my business, but I do have to implement and focus on my wellness time. It's a deliberate effort, because if I want to succeed in my business, it's a combination. I need to be healthy in my mind, my spirit, my soul, my body. I have to be my best self. That's really important.
Now,
that's the whole, everything's off balance.
Now, how do you deal with, and I think women especially suffer from this, and guys, I want you to listen up because I want you to understand this, but I am certain that women feel guilt all the time when they do something for themselves, particularly if they're mothers. They just don't feel like they should be able to take any time to themselves and, you know, like you said, take that yoga class, go for a walk. You know, they feel like they have to take their kids everywhere. And, you know, and there's a certain amount of guilt with taking time to yourself. How do you, is it possible to overcome that guilt, understanding that you need to be, in order to be a good, I used to tell a friend of mine this all the time, you know, I understand that you need to be with your kids, but you can't be a good mom if you're exhausted. You can't be a good mom if you're stressed. You can't, you know, it's impossible. So how do you work past that?
Well, first of all, is being right on yourself, you know, forgiving yourself in a sense, because we do as parents. I'm a mother, you know, I have a 13-year-old who will be 14. I have a 29-year-old who is a grown man, but I know what it is to be a mom, and we have to take that moment and say, you know what, I have to take this time for me, like you just said, so I can be a good mom. And we do feel guilty, but we have to push past the guilt and know that it's going to be beneficial to our household. Because if I'm upset, I'm frustrated, it just brings chaos to our home. So it's very important for mothers to step out and make time for themselves. Even if you wake up in the morning and you're grabbing a cup of coffee and that's your alone time, that creates the next steps in your day, because you've created that peace of mind and now you can take on your day. So whatever it is for that mom, take that moment out for you. If it's a bath at nighttime, or if it's reading a book once you put the kids to bed, we have to put our minds in a peaceful place so that we can be amazing and be great and utilize our tools, you know, to be successful. So we as moms, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself before you go do it, because we're going to be guilty. Okay, I forgive myself, but I'm actually going to put you down for a nap, or my husband's going to watch the baby and I'm going to step out for a minute for myself. It's okay. Give yourself 30 minutes to an hour to just revamp and be like, hey, I'm back. I feel good. You know, we have to do that. We have to do that.
Now,
it's very important.
I agree with you. Now, does the same rule apply to persons like myself who don't have kids? I don't have a husband, I don't have kids. And I think that there's this presumption that, oh, you do everything just all for yourself. You must take very good care of yourself because you don't have anybody else to take care of. Do you find that to be the case with your clients that are maybe single women but have businesses or have other things that are going on, that they have the same challenges?
They do, because what happens is they're single and they're putting all their emotions into their business and what they're doing, and they still have to assess and reassess and say, wait a minute, let me step back for a minute. I need to re-energize myself. I need to rejuvenate myself. It's the same thing, because if we're focused on our family and we do not take that time out for self-care, and if we're a single woman and we're focused on building our business and if whatever profession we're in, we need that step back time and say, okay.
Yeah, I know for me, I tend to feel a little more guilty because I don't have kids or anybody to take care of. And it's almost like you're like flaunting it kind of thing. So for some reason that feels not okay sometimes. That I do have that much you know what I mean? I do have that much freedom.
Don't you apologize for being in your space and being in your center because another person has made a decision or a choice to be a mother at this present time or a wife at the present time. Don't apologize for where you are. Embrace where you are and love where you are, and don't you feel guilty like the mom does when because she has to go, she wants that time alone and she wants to leave her kid. You don't. So it's like the same thing what I just heard from you. You're picking up that parent like, oh, I feel guilty, I'm gonna go do this, and now you're feeling guilty because your friend or whomever you might be around might say that of you. But don't apologize for having that space and being able to create what you need to balance you and make you more effective and great and awesome in your life. Do not feel that way.
Yeah,
whoever is saying that or making you feel that way, they haven't found their balance yet, and they're looking to see this. What you look outside and you're looking at someone else, and you feel like, oh my gosh, she's living this type of lifestyle, but I have this. But what you have to do is go within yourself and make those corrections for yourself.
That makes
sense. It's all
sense.
about self-awareness. Don't worry about it, Melanie. Live your life, babe.
No, you're right.
Live your life.
You're right. It's twofold, because there's a part of me that I'm gonna be completely honest and say, and there's a part of me that feels bad is not the appropriate word, but that feels empathy because I can go and do things that some of my friends can't. Does that make sense? And not in the sense that like I feel sorry for you. You're locked down. I don't mean it like that. I just mean that,
right.
They're two different lifestyles, and I think it's hard to find that balance. I mean, for me, I involve myself in a lot of volunteer work and political activity and school, and I have many friends who are in the same boat as I am. I have friends who are engineers and travel all over the world and, do all kinds of stuff, but take good care of themselves as well. And I think there is also a guilt factor that comes with that when some of your peers are not able to do the same thing.
Well, I get that, and I can see where that may take place. But at the end of the day, we have been given the ability to create the lifestyle that we choose to lead and live. So if you have the ability and you've created your lifestyle the way you created it, embrace it and love it and enjoy it and just live it. Don't allow that to creep in to offset what your blessings and where you are. We are able to create the lifestyles that we want, and it's up to us. Again, it's a deliberate effort, and wellness is overall wellness, creating that lifestyle that you wish to lead and live. So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Not so guilty.
I like that.
No,
I'm gonna keep that in mind. I'm gonna pass it along to my friends as well. So what are there certain categories and areas of life that you look at to say, okay, is this balanced? Is that like, are there categories? Are there,
Yeah.
Okay, so what are the categories that we need to look at?
Well, our spiritual wellness. Where do we go for our spiritual guidance? Are we religious? Do we go to church? Those sort of things. That keeping that in mind and in balance. Our physical, our relationships in balance. So those are the key 3 points that I look at. Basically, our relationships, our physical, our spiritual, and our emotional state. So it's 4 points. So where are we emotional, which implies our environment, which we touched on a little while ago. So those are 4 factors that I choose to focus on because it all encompasses everything. And if any one of those are out of whack or off balance, it creates an imbalance in our lives. So I believe we just need to be mindful of those things and work towards balancing them out. Because if you notice, I said it earlier, sometimes if your relationship can be a little bit off balance, then we may revert back to our emotional state, which will take us into eating in a different way. You know what I mean?
Very true.
Certain things will trigger and it'll offset one thing. So if we work a little backwards and work on our emotional, our relationships, and all that good stuff, then we're able to have a balanced relationship, like, very well. So if we work on our wellness and how we want to build and be self-aware of who we are, where we're going, and at peace with ourselves, I believe those other layers will work itself out in our relationships, because you have to know who you are before you can go and move further in any area of your life. Know who you are.
I agree with that completely. We're up against a break, and when we come back,
no problem.
Pardon me.
No problem.
Yeah, we're up against the break. When we come back, I want to talk a little more. I have some questions about the clients you encounter and about the spiritual aspects. I have a question or two about that I'm very curious about, because I'm nosy. I'm very nosy. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. My guest today is empowerment speaker and wellness coach, Cori Banks-Eastmond. We're talking about the importance of empowering women to healthy living. We're talking about healthy living, which is key if you are doing anything really in your life, but particularly owning a business. You're just especially busy if you are a woman and you are a business owner. As I say to a couple of my political friends when they do stuff, there's a difference between having a wife and being a wife. There's a big difference. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network. Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show. Also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcast. sackheadsradio@gmail.com. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, under 2 miles from the state capital. The below 87th Preserve Bobcat Salute radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
Politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke. Their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milton. Join me through shrmedia.com, planestalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's no surrender ever, because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey guys, it's Sackhead Clint. I'm excited to tell you about a brand new show here on the SHR Media Network. I'm teaming up with the one and only all-powerful, obliterating Zeppelin sitting here to my left, bringing to you a fresh new show here on the network. It's Against Tyranny, and we'll be picking up where the Sackheads left off. Excited to be with you, sir.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
We're going to chat. We're going to chat Wednesday night. Sackheads Against Tyranny.
Wednesday night, 11 p.m. Oh, it's the same time, right? 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific.
Same SAC time, same SAC channel.
SHRmedia.com.
See what I did there?
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. Invited to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette, and my guest today is empowerment speaker and wellness coach, Cori Banks-Eastmond. Lovely to talk to her today. We're talking to her about empowering women to healthy living. And really, everyone should be living healthy, but I think it's a challenge for women in particular, because we often have 2 or 3 jobs. We often have a business or a secular job, in addition to, you know, wife and kids. All of those are in my mind, separate jobs unto themselves, and balance is incredibly hard to find. Even if you don't have all those challenges, it's difficult to find balance. So I'm grateful to have Cori here today to talk to us about that. And you mentioned before the break that one of the tenets of a balanced life was your spiritual life. And not everybody is a spiritual person. I'm wondering if you ever get any pushback on the necessity to have some spiritual connection from any of your clients.
You know, I have in the past, not much, but a little bit. That is, for me, I'm a believer, and I have to, I believe in God. God is, to me, He is my source. He helps me in balance and allows me to start my day if I read a devotional. A lot of people can find growth in a devotional, or maybe, you know, maybe not in a Bible, but in the Bible, for me, it works for me. That's my spiritual growth and my Bible that helps me to stretch and be my best self and move forward in my life. So a lot of people might say, well, you know, I do meditate. And I'm like, okay. Or I take yoga. And I'm like, that's good. Find your balance. Find what works for you. And what works for me is my Bible, my cup of coffee in the morning, and I get my day going.
No, exactly. No, yep, exactly.
To do what is needed for me to strength. That's my muscles. That's what allows me to stand up and speak and share, and even share with you today. That works for me. That's why I said core wellness for you. When I coach you, we find out what works for you. If it takes you to go and sit and meditate through your yoga courses or classes, perfect. Find that balance in your life so that you can create the best you, and then you'll have a ripple effect in your life, in your spiritual, in your relation, in your environment, and in your wellness when you're working out. All those components will connect and work itself out.
Now, I agree with you. And as somebody who's I'm a believer as well, and I know that there seems to be a lot of very public pushback on even saying publicly that you're a believer in any way, shape, or form. So I was just wondering how your clients felt about that when you would say, and I'm sure you don't, you know, say you need to make sure you pray to Jesus. I'm sure you don't say that, but
I don't Bible beat them and like, here,
right.
Take that Bible and I'm going to hit you on. No.
Right. I'm sure you don't say that, but I feel like now everybody's just kind of skittish about the whole spirituality thing. But I agree with you. I am, when I run into people who have no sense of spirituality at all, I find that kind of creepy. I'm going to be honest. Like that they don't see it. I don't care if you're like agnostic and at minimal acknowledge some type of higher power. But there are some people who just absolutely don't feel as though that needs to be a part of their lives. And I was just wondering if you've ever run into that.
I've run into it a couple times, a few times. I have to admit, I have. I actually, and I'll step back for a second. I had an event, the tour that I put in Atlanta, New York on March 31st. And what happened was we did it. It's our Strong Courageous Women's Table Talk Tour. And towards the end, we closed out with a prayer. Well, I didn't get any pushback from it, but I did notice a few people were like, okay, well, I guess we'll pray. But it was to close out, and it was to thank everyone for being there, and that they would be protected and covered as they stepped out towards the rest of their day. And that they will just be amazing in their life. And that was it. We closed out the prayer, and that was that. And after it was done, I thought about it, and I said, well, prayer might not be for everyone, but prayer definitely is a staple in my life. And if you came to the event and you're asking me, what do I do to live a balanced lifestyle, or what do I do? What's strong and courageous? What does that mean to me? And what are some of the things that motivate me in the morning? What do I do? That was a part of it. So I had to share that just to let them know by them asking. And we closed out with a prayer. And everyone, it ended. It was great. It was beautiful. And that was it. But I don't try to push my belief off on anyone. I just live life as a believer. I just live out loud. You know what I mean?
Right. No, absolutely. No, I absolutely agree.
And that's why one of the things is called Being Strong and Courageous. The Be Strong and Courageous Women's Table Talk is basically about allowing those women to come in and hear stories from women who are sharing powerful stories of how they overcame certain situations. And it opened up a dialogue for our audience to share certain things that they were dealing with, that they were going through. And I'm still getting emails to this day sharing with me, like, I'm so glad that I attended. When you shared this particular information, I was able to go home and share it with my boyfriend and say this and ask those questions. And so being used as a tool to help empower women and to love on them and to show them how to be kind to themselves and to love themselves is a blessing to me. And I'm grateful to be in this position to do it.
I love that. And for the number of people that were like, oh, we're gonna pray. You may have also spoke to someone's heart who said, I really do need to start praying, or I really do need to get back to praying. I really, that's something that I really need to.
Exactly. Sometimes, change, in order to change, it takes us to grow. And sometimes we have to stretch beyond where we are so that we can get to that next level in our lives. And so you never know until you do it, until you try it, until we stretch and use those muscles that we've never used before, and it can take us to greater heights. We never know.
I agree. Now, let me ask you, for people who've been listening to the show and they're like, okay, I want to get balanced. I want to figure out how I can do this. What are your best tips for, like, first steps? Like, it can be a daunting task, particularly if you're looking at your life and you're kind of looking at your spirituality, haven't been to church in 1,000 years, haven't prayed to nobody, haven't read a devotional or anything. I'm 30 pounds overweight. My house is a mess. My relationship is on the rocks. I want to leave this man and I haven't. There are people whose lives are in abject chaos. What would be your very first and best tip that you would give to that person? Like, where do you start?
Admitting what the issue is first. Admitting to where they are right now, which would be an open dialogue. What's holding you back from moving forward? Because we first have to identify it and admit to it in order to fix whatever that issue is.
And take responsibility for it, I would imagine.
Exactly. Identify, admit, take responsibility. Exactly. For where you are. And then you have to learn what's your why. Why am I here? We have to identify with the why. Okay, why am I here? How did I get here? Now, what are the steps that I need to get out of it? Out of this situation, out of this issue, out of this chaos.
And that's not a beat yourself up why, right?
No, it's not. It's not a beat yourself up why. No, not at all. Again, in order to move forward, we have to identify with what the issue is. And like you said earlier, we all have certain things, or we're off balance, but identify as to why. What's holding me? Why am I off balance? We have to we have to really basically make an appointment with ourselves and jot down these situations. So when I work with my client one-on-one, the first step is identify, give them those tools, identify the why, and write it down. And when we meet again, we go over it.
Man, that is a hard thing to do. Been there, done that. Because if you write it down, then you have to look at it. Like it's nothing is real. It's kind of like your to-do list. It's not real till you write it down.
Mm-hmm. Right. And you have to write it down, and you have to admit to it. You have to admit, because if you do not admit to where you are or why you are, you're going to stay stuck, and there's no movement. There's no growth. All it is a cycle of living a redundant lifestyle over and over again and complaining about the same situation, but not fixing that situation.
Absolutely true. Okay, we're within the last couple of minutes of the show, so I want to make sure that you talk about the events that you have coming up, how we can contact you if we would like to get you as a speaker, if we'd like to attend one of your workshops. How can we make that happen?
Yes. Well, right now I am on my tour, which is a Strong and Courageous Table Talk tour, and I will be in Atlanta on April 28th. At the Aloft Hotel downtown Atlanta, and it's gonna go from Atlanta to California on June 9th. So it'll be in California June 9th, the Be Strong Courageous Women's Table Talk. And later in the year, we will be hosting our women's our Healthy Living event. It's a conference, and so you guys can actually reach me at my website, which is www.core wellness.com. And you can find me on Instagram at Core Wellness for You, which is Core Wellness, the number 4, the letter U. And you can find everything on my website of workshops and the actual conferences and the tours that will be that are actually happening now, which I'm really excited about, because we have a lot of people coming out. They're sharing their stories, and it's helping. They're learning how to go dig deep and find out what's really going on and what's holding them back, and taking the risk and not being afraid of it anymore. So I'm excited about it. So at Core Wellness for You on Instagram, www.corewellnessforyou.com is the website.
And I think the method that you're using there is so helpful, because one of the things that you learn is that you were certainly not alone. There's not one thing under the sun that's brand new.
No, not alone at all. And one thing I would like to share with everyone is that in order to be courageous, you have to first have the courage. So you have to have the courage. And with this whole Table Talk tour, it's basically working with people and sharing with them to be courageous and to be strong and courageous again and face whatever those issues are. And then when we face them, that's when we can begin to build and work and create that healthier lifestyle.
I love it. That's fantastic. Well, Mrs. Gordon Hill was absolutely right. You are fabulous. So you are indeed. I always like to give a shout out to Mrs. Gordon Hill, because she's just so fantastic, and I adore her. So whenever I have one of her clients on, I always give her a little shout out.
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much.
I want everyone to take this note. Be kind to yourself and love yourself. Be kind and love yourself.
Absolutely. I love it. Indeed. Thank you so much, Cori Banks-Eastmond, for being on the show. I want to thank everybody in the Facey chat, all of you guys out there on SHR Media and High Plains Planet Talk Radio, everybody who's listening to this as a downloaded podcast. Thank you so much. And I want you to remember that all of this is important, because after all, it's your money. Have a great night.